flop that. I think this is a better microphone. Boker Tov, everybody. So this week's parsha is Va'era, the second in the book of Shemot, in the book of Exodus. So we know where we are in the story, the beginning of our Exodus story, really. And we have Pharaoh has been asked by Moses on behalf of our people to let our people go, and he refuses. At this point, it's been the number of years that our people were slaves in Egypt has been a topic of debate for a while. Some people say it was in the 200-year range. Some people say 400 plus years. But either way, it was generations by that point. It was a long time. And, you know, if you look at this from Pharaoh's perspective, you can see he doesn't want to be the one who is responsible for losing, you know, the slaves that they had for generations, right? Obviously it's the wrong thing. But, you know, he goes through a bit of a journey at this point because the slaves are not going to be set free. He doesn't want to be the one to do that. The plagues then are brought upon the Egyptian people because of his refusal. And after just about every plague, what does it say happens? His heart hardens, right? And it's not just his heart hardened. Sometimes it even says God hardened his heart. God hardened his heart. Why would God do that? Is God playing both sides of the field? Why? Why would God harden his heart, right? At this point, 7 of the 10 plagues happen in this particular portion. God hardens his heart, Pharaoh's heart. It's not that God doesn't want Pharaoh to let our people go. God wants our people to be free, right? God wouldn't have stepped in at this point if God didn't want our people to be free. But God hardens Pharaoh's heart, I think, for a particular reason, which is that this needs to be a permanent decision, right? It can't just be for now, and you know, we'll come back, we'll bring you back as slaves later, or we'll change our minds, we'll come back and we'll take you back, right? Because that can't happen. We need to be permanently freed. Once we are redeemed people, we stay a redeemed people, right? So this needs to be a permanent decision. And by setting all of these plagues loose on Egypt, and by the way, these plagues are just affecting the Egyptians, not our people. So while all of the other plagues, all the locusts and pestilence and boils and lice and all the nasty things that are happening from these plagues, only affecting the Egyptian population who have subjugated our people, not the Israelites. So, and you see 7 of these plagues by this point. It is pervasive. It affects every measure of a person's life, an Egyptian's life at this point. And so you can see that Pharaoh's heart hardening, it shows that he is not showing concern for the welfare of his own people. His heart is hardening. He's turning away from that. He is only paying attention to the fallout on him personally, if he's responsible for setting our people free, right? His heart hardens against that. He says, no, I can't let your people go. Even after everything his people is suffering, because he refuses. Now you see, it takes a few more plagues into the next portion for it to finally hit home. And even when it does, he still sends an army after our people. But the fact that all of these plagues happened, there's something particular about the number 10 in this case. And if you pay attention during the Seder, oh, it's 1,000 by a finger, by a whatever, you know, how many plagues. But we just know that it afflicted the Egyptians in a particular way, and we don't like to see other people suffering, even if it's on our behalf. But in this case, they are miraculous occurrences. They are unusual occurrences, right? That God helps Moses and Aaron set upon the Egyptian people, but only because Pharaoh's heart hardens. He doesn't see, he sees his people suffering, and he knows he has the solution, but he turns away from that. So the fact that this needed to be a permanent solution, I think, is a really big reason why his heart hardens. But we also see that it's so important for leadership to not take after the example of Pharaoh, not to harden our hearts, but to open our hearts wide, to see the suffering of people and to do whatever we can to alleviate that. So I think in this case, we're meant to learn contrary to the example of Pharaoh, right? Don't let our hearts harden. We need to crack them wide open and open our eyes as well. And if we know that we see people suffering in the world, we, not just as Jews, but as humans, have a responsibility to step in and do what we can to help people.
Yes, Cantor. Service this evening are at 6 o'clock, tomorrow morning, Shabbat morning, 9 o'clock. Anybody have any announcements?
I'll say it again, just because I've been saying it. We are holding auditions for the Purim Spiel, the kids Purim Spiel at 11 a.m. on Sunday. So if you know any kids in the right age range who want to audition, please have them RSVP with Julie Sukert. We may have to hold a second audition, and we're a little bit low on RSVPs at this point. But of course, anyone in that age range who wants to could just show up, but we'd like to have the RSVPs in advance, so we're prepared. Thanks.